one. Boom! Ladies and gents, you guys want to learn how to make money flipping mobile homes? Yeah, me too.
Oh, yeah.
Let's find out.
Shut up and sit down.
The Business Bros Podcast was created for you. Learn from the business professionals who come to share their stories. Find out what's working in business, on social media, what's hot and what's not, straight from the mouths of successful entrepreneurs out there doing the real work. And now, welcome to another episode of
Business Bros. It is fire time, Ham. And it's my favorite day of the week, by the way. It's my favorite day of the week.
What day is it?
Today happens to be SHIT. So happy it's Thursday. All right, dude, drop the fire.
All right, all you business pros out there. Before we jump into the show, just a quick reminder to please subscribe on whichever platform it is that you're listening to us on today. Give us a like, give us a follow, subscribe, and drop a review and help other like-minded business owners find value from our awesome guests while we rise up in the podcast rankings. We will sincerely appreciate every single one of you for it. And if you want to be a guest on the show, we'd love to have you on to learn from you as well. Go to www.businessbros.biz/podcast guest. Schedule your time slot. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media at Business Bros Pod. Ladies and gentlemen, we're so excited and honored to bring yet another incredible guest to the Business Bros Pod. We've repeated this mantra 100 times. Build businesses and invest in real estate, right? Real estate is how the rich secure their income, and our guest today has a unique strategy to building and securing that wealth in the real estate game. While most investors are out there flipping homes and buying multifamily properties, our guest steers the ship of a private real estate investment firm catering to accredited investors with exclusive access to high-yield mobile home park investments. This fundamental strategy provides low-risk, high cash flow assets that delivers consistent cash-on-cash income and equity growth. You will not want to miss today's episode to learn how you can enhance and secure your wealth following our guest strategies. Joining us today from Midwest Park Capital, welcome to the show, Jonathan Tuttle.
All right, Jonathan, and welcome to the show, dude. So excited. Learning what you are doing, dude. So let's just get to the nitty gritty. Mobile home parks. How did you get started in that space?
Yeah, it's a great question. About 15 years ago, it's now becoming kind of like a popular niche. In the last couple of years, it's really gotten a mainstream recognition. But back in the day when I was first involved with it, my dad got a park about 2005, and I tell my friends, I'm like, I'm literally love this niche because it's so different. It's not super competitive than all the other forms of real estate. And I tell my friends, they'd all laugh at me like, that's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. Mobile homes? What are you talking about? Mobile home parks? I'm like, yes. And you
gotta live somewhere, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like now it's becoming trendy, and like it's all the major news is talking about like how it's been the most stable real estate in the last year. And so it just.
Whoa. And we hit the pause button here.
Ain't no thing like me except me.
Uh-oh. Jonathan's on the fritz, Ham. I'm getting the circle of death.
The circle of death, I'm getting it too.
It just got interesting. I was like, dude,
I know.
Right, we're going to start learning about mobile home parks, and then boom.
Yep. He's talking about, it's a lot more people doing it, but I'm sure that he's doing it differently than everybody else, because I was just looking at his website and all the stuff that he's got going on, and it just looks like he's got it dialed in.
So tell me about what he's got dialed in. We're going to remove him here for a second.
What
did you learn about him?
Well, I mean, everything that I was reading there, it looks like it's for accredited investors. So that's one thing that it's different.
I know I'm putting you on the spot, huh?
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's cool.
Come back in here in a second. All right, so let's define what an accredited investor is. So it's somebody who has $2 million in assets, not counting your personal home, and or somebody who has $250,000 in income for the last 2 years and is expected to continue to grow. All right,
and I think we got.
I'm so sorry. My computer restarted during the middle of a podcast.
Of course.
No, stop it. I've never had that
best
before.
way.
That's what happens when we go live, man. That's what happens. All
Oh,
right, so
man,
all,
I'm sorry, guys.
no worries, no worries.
It was only about 40 seconds, 30
Yeah,
seconds.
no big deal, no big deal. So,
So sorry.
I was explaining to the audience what an accredited investor was, and so tell me a little more. We're talking about the trend that you were getting into. So it's become popular to get into the mobile home space.
Yes, exactly. It's if you look at the data the last couple of years, it's like you said, there's 60 million Americans that need affordable housing, and there's about 12 million mobile homes. And then you guys are in California, correct?
Yeah.
So it's another world over there. So like you have like Matthew McConaughey used to live, Pamela Anderson, Sean Penn, Paradise Cove in Malibu, and they have like mobile homes that go for like $2 to $6 million there. And but you're
Mobile
right on the
homes that go to
ocean.
2 to 6 million?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Well, you're right.
Exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, because if you're right next door, the house is like 50 million. So it's like if you have a $50 million house and a mobile home that normally would be 200,000 everywhere else, but you have a $50 million house, it brings it up. So, but the moral of the story is like every market has their own niche. So there's like a really high niche like that, but then there's also majority of it's for affordable housing. It serves that need, and you can't develop new parks. So there's about 10 every 20 years. So that's like kind of the cool component when you own it. It's like because Warren Buffett has 2 companies in it. He's the biggest financer, and he's also the biggest developer of new homes. And in the one reasons he likes moats around business. And what that means is something where you can't just jump in right away. It's really hard to break into the niche because you can't develop them. And the cities don't really allow new parks, mainly because the taxes are cheaper. So they don't make the same revenue. They actually lose revenue. Just for example, like in Illinois, an average mobile home, if you're across the street, Illinois has really high real estate taxes. It'd probably be like $3 or $4 grand a year for real estate taxes. But the mobile home right across the street would be like $200 a year.
Is it mainly because when you're talking about these mobile home parks, you don't technically own the mobile home, you're renting the space, and so when you pay property taxes, you're not really paying taxes on developed property. You're just paying the land value essentially.
Yeah, there's a couple components to it. So for like the park side as the owner, ideally you want to own it where you just own the land mainly. There's always going to be some some that you're going to own as a park owned homes, but ideally for the business model, you want to keep it off your plate where you just basically rent the land like you just alluded to. And then for the cities, they just don't it's considered title like a car. So they don't consider it like, it's like personal property. So they can't really tax it like they would normally do. The park owner, however, does pay obviously the bulk of the taxes.
So how did you get into that space? I mean, understanding the tax implications as far as, that's obviously going to your bottom line, right? If you don't have to pay the property tax like a regular home, you're paying the property tax on the land value. It's completely, it impacts your bottom line. But still, why get into investing in those kinds of things? To invest when they invest in land opportunities into developments because they sell off each individual piece. You're keeping this a little bit different. How'd you decide to stay in space?
Yeah, the value of it is because it's just like you have supply and demand economics. So unlike any other real estate, you basically control your own destiny. It's NOI, basically business with NOI with real estate. And unlike multifamily or other different real estate asset classes, it doesn't have that many curveballs. The biggest challenge in our industry for the mobile home park industry is every city, like municipality, has different laws, and it's a lot of it with like zoning, and then just little things like that. Basically, that's the biggest challenge is zoning, and then also making sure you have good tenants. But the average tenant stays 14 years, which is one of the craziest thing about it. So once you get them in there, they're not going anywhere. Even if they have to move it across the mobile home from a different park, it costs $5,000 to $10,000 to move it. If they're paying $300 lot rent, they're not going to spend 3 years of lot rent to move it across the street. So that's one of the unique angles, and that's what really drew me into the space. Is when we come in too, we're also bringing most of the people have had these for like 30, 40 years. The original developers from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and then when we come in, we beautify the park. We bring in new capex where we put in new amenities, playgrounds, flower beds, fix the roads, trim the trees, so provide a better quality of life. So even some of the people that need they don't have too much money, we come in and we'll power wash their units or paint their units for free just to give that sense of community for the people in there. So because some of these units, like I said, they've been there, people have lived there so long, they see all that rejuvenation and all that new energy put back in the community. It really inspires people to take pride of ownership, basically.
What kind of restrictions do you have at these places? Are those restrictions placed on by the owner, or they tend to be city things like, 55 and up communities, or whatever the situation is for those homes?
Yeah, you're exactly right. They actually do have. That's the one. We're the only one that has like this weird stipulation with the fair housing. You could actually restrict, and like it's like assisted living center basically, but in a community setting. So you could actually restrict. You could have 55 up community. Yeah, that's the one thing that's really unique about this. Like when you're doing like Facebook ads, and Facebook ads doesn't know that there's one. We're the one loophole for targeting that for the fair housing laws. But, yeah. So. But yeah, so the average, and the cool thing about our industry too, it really serves affordable housing needs. So like the cool thing is like people now see the value of affordable housing, and then also there's a new trend now. If you look at like the tiny home movement you're seeing on TV, and then also people want to travel now. So they, rather than being in the major cities, a lot of mobile home parks are in the second and tertiary market, so outside the city, and that's now becoming a trend where people, like when you live in a mobile home park, you have a little you have your own yard, you have your own, there's usually parks, there's more space to move around instead of being cramped up in an apartment. And now when everything comes back around again too, people can travel, they'll have more money to travel. So you see a lot of millennials, the parks in Austin, there's like some outside of Portland, like those are becoming like trendy mobile home parks basically, because the kids rather I'm working on a computer, I don't have to be in the city, I'd rather be in Bali for 6 months and then have my mobile home when I'm here.
Yeah,
so that demographic too.
Plus, it's affordable. So when somebody were to go to Mobile Home Wealth Academy to go to learn stuff, what is the type of stuff that you're teaching them so that they can kind of benefit from this type of revenue stream?
Yeah, great question. So the whole premise was because I'm so sorry, my computer cut out and restarted. But when you're talking about the accredited investor, that's for the mobile home park fund is. Basically, only about 12% of people, qualify for that based on like the numbers. So it's 88% of people. So when I'm already there, I'm already filming this. I'm like, some of my friends that, below the income threshold. So I'm like, how do I have a solution to help them? It's the easiest form of real estate to get involved. It also helps solve the affordable housing. So these houses, if they get torn down, especially the, 67 or 70s, 80s units, like the older models, right, pre-HUD or right after HUD, they get torn down, they're bringing in a brand new home, and those are like, 50, 80, $100,000. So that person that could normally would be able to buy that house off and pay it off in 2 years, now he has to get this long mortgage. So you're actually still solving affordable housing. So I just really wanted to have a solution to teach people how to flip, how to wholesale. It's the cheapest form of real estate besides California, besides those $2 to $6 million houses. But like, but like in the Midwest, you're looking at, a couple grand, a grand, 5, 10 grand, put a couple grand in it or wholesale it. And your typical $5,000 to $10,000 profit, and then within a week or two. So it's a really great niche, and I like it because there's so many other, all the TV shows are teaching how to flip, but you need a credit, you need to go to the bank. Usually if you're going to go tear down a kitchen and put $30,000 in, most people can't do that without, other people's money, or they've been saved up or have really good credit. So I just want to have a solution, teach them step by step. And a lot of people, and I'm bringing it from all my resources from the fund and all the, industry resources. So I'm giving a really high level overview, but also as an owner, and also how somebody that just wants to learn how to flip from flip or wholesale mobile homes for profit on the side. So we think it's going to be the best course out there by far. Because I've actually bought some of the other courses and I've compared the content, and so we're going above and beyond with it.
So when they get into this Mobile Home Wealth Academy and they're learning about this stuff, they're still required to get some funding, right? So is it like are they self-funding? Are they doing like seller financing? Do they still have to come up with capital? Are they going hard money? What kind of funding are we looking for when we get involved?
Great question. Because I actually have a solution. We actually have a guy. We have at least one, but probably two people they'll actually loan. They're actually going to loan their own money. So you'll actually have a resource in the academy. And then we also have techniques where it's wholesaling, where it's nothing out of your pockets, where basically you go around like looking for FSBOs. That's one of the easiest ways, honestly. You just drive do a couple parks on Saturday or Sunday and look for the for sale by owner signs, because realtors don't want to broker, or they don't want to spend a weekend showing a mobile home for $15,000 for $150 commission. So they're not even focusing on it. So it's a really kind of an arbitrage way to go around drive or use Craigslist and Facebooks and then market it better. And most of the people if you think about the demographic, a lot of the baby boomers don't know how to use Facebook and Marketplace. And like the average, millennial 30, 40 something knows how to use Facebook Marketplace. And it's really kind of like arbitrage. Think like a Shopify store, you get something from China and you put on, put some Facebook ads. It's kind of the same thing.
Well, I like that because that does require a little bit of effort, a little bit of work, but the payoff in the end could be nice. So when you're talking wholesale, what's the? I mean, we were talking a little bit about pricing as far as what a mobile home goes for, but when you were talking about doing some rehab, is it the same type of cost? I mean, if we're going in and making some repairs, because I mean, are the homes always affixed, where they can't move, or is it easier access? Because I know a lot of them have they're lifted, right? So they have access to plumbing and stuff underground. Like, is the cost to repair some of these things, if you're going to do the flip game, is it worth the cost sometimes, or is it better off just to get that manufactured stuff kind of switched out?
Yeah. One of the best thing about it is know your market, and less is more. So you don't have to, people have the mindset from most people think, they think of like a TV, we have to come in, I have to beautify it, put the best of everything, like granite, and less is more. You're most markets it is affordable housing. So just replace basic carpet, make sure the floor is good, paint the walls. You can't even do anything on the outside. The outside is the structure of it. So you can't even say, I want to put bigger windows on the outside. You can't do that. So it's minimal, just making sure everything works, plumbing, put in maybe a new fridge, maybe a new AC unit. So less is more. You go as little as $1 or $2 grand up to $3 or $4 grand. And anything over that, then I wouldn't even, unless once you're more seasoned, then you can start doing more turnaround projects, especially in California, for example, people will buy $200,000 mobile home out there, and they'll put 50, 100 grand, but then they'll mark it up another 100 grand in certain markets. It all depends on your market. But for majority of America, Midwest, or even Florida, you put in, $2 to $4 grand, and then on minimal stuff, just the basic stuff, power wash the outside, clean the windows. A lot of it's and then just make sure the plumbing, like you said, make the basic functionality. That's it. You're not coming in there and going to Menards, Home Depot. I'm I want the nicest carpet possible. I want, premium paint. It's none of that stuff. It's just a lot of basic routine, because people just want affordable, clean place to live. That's really what they want.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. So tell me a little bit about Midwest Park Capital. What is that? How did you form it? Why is it part of your repertoire of businesses?
Yeah, we've been in the space 15 years, and now the park prices have gone up exponentially, just because they were a Green Sheet data came out with data in December. It said it was the best performing real estate of all last year. Wall Street Journal had an article last year. It's been the best performing real estate for the last decade. And then based on bank data, it's been the best performing for the last 50 years. And so what's happening is now you have Blackstone, which is the biggest private equity in the world. You have Apollo Group, which is one of the second or third biggest private equity. They're all buying billions and billions of dollars. So basically, we have a 5 to 6 year run to acquire as many parks as possible. And so I rather leverage it with partners to get as many parks faster. And then for the advantage for Midwest Park Capital is for everyday accredited investor, it's completely passive. So they don't have to go through the learning curve. They don't get access to the same deal flow. There's only 44,000 communities in America. So it's not like multifamily where there's always going to be a new next multifamily opportunity, Garden City apartment. They're always available. So this industry, the real value add is having someone that knows the industry, knows the ins and outs, has the relationships, and can manage it. And then we brought in the biggest park management company in the country that has 33,000 lots. We have the fund administration software, has 100 billion in assets under management. They do some Apollo Group stuff. We have a park CPA, we have Markham CPA, and then we have a park CPA. So we literally just built an all-star team. And so the investor gets the advantage of knowing everything's completely transparent online, and they get equity multiple, tax benefits, and a quarterly payout. So we just want to have a solution that people just invest in it. And our pref rate's 8, and a lot of the multifamily pref rates are 5 or 6. And the best part about mobile home parks, when we talk about the land, which you mentioned before, is the land appreciates. The land improvements is 15 years. So you can't depreciate land, but you can depreciate land improvements. And we're the one niche that allows that. And 65 to 75% of a park, when you acquire it, like the pads, cement pads and everything, the roads of the mobile home parks, is depreciated. So you got your K1s look way better on ours. You get the best tax structure of any real estate.
Yeah,
I surrender to your will.
Right. So just to clear things up, normal depreciation rates, you're looking at about 29 or 39 years on a traditional real estate transaction. So being able to come down on to 15 years, that's a huge push. And then I'm sure you operate it like a business, so you're also taking advantage of like Section 179 stuff all the time. So you're right. Your K1 is going to look a lot better compared to other people, especially if they're looking for those cash deductions. So let me get this straight. So you're putting together a capital fund of people to help buy these opportunities for the entire mobile home parks. You're teaching people how to do the flipping and teaching people how to be investors in the mobile home park. Those are that has to do with the first two websites that we see scrolling at the bottom of the screen. So that has to do with Midwest Park Capital. That has to do with the Mobile Home Wealth Academy. And then you have the Revenue Ascend, right? So I'm assuming that plays a part in your overall game plan here as well.
Oh yeah, I vertically integrated everything. So it handles the because the course obviously it was efficiency because we're already at the parks. Why not just film some content, teach people how to do it, solve that problem for the people that aren't an accredited investor, and also solve the affordable housing to help teach people the business. Well, who has to market it? My agency. So we do the the Facebook ads, and then we're heavily investing for Midwest Park Capital. Google leads, LinkedIn SEO, all that stuff. If you Google mobile home park fund, top mobile home park fund, anything mobile home park related, we're number one because my agency does all the SEO. So I vertically integrated everything, which is great. And then this year we pivoted to I got a new offer coming out. So I only do one client a month. I've actually done some pretty big mobile home park owners, which is cool. So it provides deal flow. But I do one client a month, basically, where it's like a high-level consulting, digital. So it's really one-on-one. And then we have an offer for HVAC owners where instead of doing a monthly retainer, we're going to actually come in, basically set up their ads at a high level, and then give them like online curriculum, basically set them up. So like for the price of a couple months of a normal agency charge, we charge them up front, provide them all the tools, resources, and community. And then it's more like a high ticket when done, and then they don't have to use an agency again. So we're about to launch that offer in the next couple of weeks. I got to hire a salesperson. And then with that offer, we're going to give $500 for every sign up to go towards a college scholarship. So we want to give away like 5 to 7 scholarships to HVAC students this year. So.
See, that's powerful. Okay. So, I mean, Thank you. Right. No, when you talk about what you've created here, everything from generating the capital needed to teaching people how to do it to marketing the entire thing, that's a complete business in a box. When people work with you, they're not getting the onesie twosie. They're not getting, just learn how to do this one thing. You're wrapping it up in a perfect box with and throwing a bow on it. So you're helping people all the way through the entire process. What kind of, you've been at this for 15 years. What kind of feedback have you gotten from people who have worked with you? And what kind of like stories can we hear about, case studies, people that have completed the entire process?
Well, the fund's new. So I've been in the space 15 years with our family parks, but like the fund just came out like 6 months ago. So, but speaking in regards to that, I was one of the 12 speakers pre-COVID, but then they canceled. It was supposed to be in Vegas for the mobile home, the biggest conference. MHI Congress and Expo, and then 2 of the speakers were Warren Buffett's. Remember, because he has $2 billion companies, and one's the home manufacturer Clayton Homes, the CEO of that multi-billion-dollar company, and then Dr. Ben Carson, who was a former president candidate, also the national director of HUD. I was going to teach there to the big owners how to do digital marketing. So everything just literally just flows in like a circle and vertically integrated, and it just ties in. That brings me business, but it also gets me in front of deals for the fund. But then they canceled because of COVID.
So you had all these speaking engagements lined up, which would have led to some really nice connections for the fund. How did that affect your business? Like COVID has affected a lot of people. How did it affect you guys aside from just missing out on basically catapulting the fund?
Yeah, exactly. We did we still did a webinar, but it was a lot less turnover because remember, your demographic. So like the mobile home park demographic is most owners are baby when we're 65 to 75 years old. They've had it for 30, 40 years. They developed it maybe 50 years. So a lot of them, they've had to learn how to use, Zoom calls and things of that nature, like what we're on. But so we didn't have that. We had a disconnect of that. So the biggest challenge for us was like the free exposure. I had so many speaking engagements for the digital and also the fund side. And hopefully some of them make it this year. We're seeing that everyone's kind of playing it, year by year if it's going to happen. But just using the digital side, I'm like, we're just doing everything digital. We're focused on garnering traffic through digital. Luckily, I'm the two businesses that do really well. Digital marketing or just technology did really well last year, and the mobile home parks did really well because every time there's a downturn, people still need the cheapest place to live. So actually, I was in the right niches. I just wasn't able to leverage, the trade shows and things like that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, the technology side, have you been in that side for the same amount, the 15 years that you've been on the mobile home side, or is that kind of what you had to develop to supplement the fact that you couldn't go face to face with people?
No, great question. I've always been passionate about digital. Like even when I was in college, I'm old enough to remember when Google first came out, and I would just be like, just the first time Google came out, this is like late 90s. I would just sit on the computer all day long. I just love digital. And the key is obviously it's in business is face to face, but also leveraging technology. So if you have that skill set, we could talk to the right people, provide value in person, but also leverage internet, leverage podcasts, things of that nature. We could leverage the digital media. It's so much powerful. I started off around 2011, 12. I did a lot of charity work before and set a couple different charity boards, and I would just do their digital marketing before it was like even a thing. And I didn't know how to set up like a digital marketing agency at that point, but I knew there was opportunity for it. And that was before even Google ads. Google ads were big then, but like Facebook ads really didn't become relevant. And obviously Instagram wasn't even out, but I would do like the social media for Chicago Culinary and Chefs Hall of Fame. And I also started throwing, because you have that dog picture in the back, I also throw I threw 5 years of homeless dog events in Chicago. So real big about giving back to like the homeless dog community. But I did all the digital marketing to bring in the exposure basically. And then 5 years ago, I developed the agency model.
That's so funny because you're talking about the 90s being on Google, and I just can think of James. James was my nerd alert. That he spent so much time when we first got a dial-up internet back then. We spent so much time illegally downloading music, right? Just
like Napster.
Yeah, I was like, dude,
they call me out like that. Damn.
We don't gotta go to Warehouse anymore. Yeah, for those of you who know, Warehouse or Tower Records, right? We don't have to go there anymore. Dude, we can just get it right here on the computer. I can make my own CD. I was so happy.
You remember the binder of CDs in your car?
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah.
You download them into binder, and you have binders of like hundreds of CDs with every song on it.
Yeah, and you were the cool kid because you had all the songs.
Yep.
I feel like
kids don't even know.
One of those binders sitting around somewhere, maybe in your garage, Nan. I don't know.
Totally. All right. So, before we head out, I want to make sure that people are aware of how they can get a hold of you. So, Jonathan, before we go, make sure that the listening audience can hear what you're going to say, and let them know how they can get a hold of you if they want to get involved in any of the different opportunities that you're offering.
Sure. Yeah. So if you're a accredited investor, the fund is called MidwestParkCapital.com. And we also have if you just want to view the PPM right away, we have MidwestParkCapitalFund.com, just how it sounds. It's obviously the hottest real estate niche right now, or one of the hottest real estate niches. So it's a really good time to kind of learn about it. If you're not accredited and you want to learn the business, you want to learn how to get in the easiest form of real estate, flipping, wholesaling, it's called Mobile Home Wealth Academy. We're still creating content. It's about 3 weeks, but we're taking emails on there so you can put your email. It's going to be very top to bottom. It's going to have everything you need to learn the business and all the resources. Like you even mentioned, like we'll even have a source to lend the deals for you. So everything's going to be covered in that. And then if you're an HVAC owner, I guess that HVAC owner would be the revenue send. And then I do, like I said, one client a month where it's like a personal one-on-one, like a high level consulting where you're doing like $1 or $2 million a year. If you want to get to, be more tech friendly, you want to have better systems process, SOPs, and also learn how to optimize your Google ads. Like we're really good at Google ads. So especially if you're spending so we have some clients that spend $80,000 a month on Google ads. So if you're at that level, we could really help you take it to the next level. And that's revenuesend.com.
We're not just doing this for money. We're doing it for a shitload of money.
That's right. That's right. You've been doing tech stuff for quite some time. I was going to say we're new to the podcast space. We're like 3 years in, 651 episodes into the podcast space. So I got to ask, you've been around tech stuff. You've done shows before. What was your experience like on the Business Bros?
Oh, this is great. I think just the visuals. And I'm sorry, I cannot believe my computer restarted like the first minute. I was like, what is going on? Glad you guys are still on those. This is awesome. I think the visual is very entertaining. It's cool.
Awesome, man. Awesome. A little helpful stuff, if you will. We suck when it comes to doing any type of paid ads for our own show. What kind of advice would you give me if I was getting started in this space to kind of put ads out? Should I be going video clips? Should I be going standalone images? Should I be going Facebook? Should I be going YouTube pre-rolls? Like, where should I be going at? And I don't think we really super suck. I just kind of want to start give you that premise.
Yeah, no, I think all three. Here's what I would do for like the Google ads. I would start with do the competitors. Who's your biggest competitor? Who's your audience most likely going to listen to? Pay for your name to be in front of them on the search. So that could be like, hey, listen to this podcast, check out this, put their name in your place number one. So people will find out because you're going to their audience and kind of stealing it, or at least getting your name out in front of it. Facebook ads, the same thing, target all your competitors. Do videos first. I like videos because you could do clips, but make sure when you follow back up with the retargeting that they watched 50%. You could have another like testimonials or other video clips, and just basically the ones that watch 50% are gonna be the highest, most likely. And then you could have like a click to download, option on there. Follow up based on behavior, and then really just kind of say, hey, you're in business. Target. Use the Facebook keeps taking away targeting because it's getting more and more regulatory. So, and we also know that's been big. That just came out like 2 days ago is the new Apple. We don't even know what's going to happen with all that. Apple basically says you can't really do the 28. It used to be able to target everything on Apple, and they would keep all the data. Now it went from 28-day attrition to 7 days. So we don't know how effective the retargeting is going to be in Facebook going forward, because they're still trying to figure out exactly how to report all the the data. But Facebook is still the cheapest and fastest way to get in front of your ideal prospect. Measure that. I think Facebook do contests is one of the great ways. Like I think contests is great for like a podcast, get people engaged to get on your show. YouTube ads, same thing. Put in front of your competitor's show. Like put it on like business podcast. Put it on like any whoever has like 1 million downloads and it's a popular and they allow commercials. Advertise on their the pre-banner rolls. Those work really well, and it's pretty cheap too on YouTube right now. It's going to change as we get older, but as more competitive. So those are 3 ways I'd recommend. And then also just you do really well with the text SMS follow up. Maybe some more emails with some stories and have some tidbits, and do like get a direct response copywriter to kind of like paint a story and how it relates to your listener, your audience, whoever your core demographic is.
Nice. Thank you, dude. I mean, that's exactly what we're looking for. A little bit of feedback, a little bit of help, because it not only helps our show, it definitely helps other people who are in the podcast space or different business owners who are trying to get that little bit of a competitive edge, because there's so many businesses out there that are just not creating enough content. They're just not giving themselves the opportunity. They're missing out on any potential clients, any potential leads, anything that's out there on the space because they're not putting content out there. So ladies and gents, just a reminder, if you guys need content, we offer a package. It's $300 and we're going to create all the content you need to at least post 1 time a day. If you're not doing that, at bare minimum, you're hurting your own business. Right? Get out there, show enough content, take that same content. You can use it for your YouTube pre-roll ads. You can use it to market whatever it is that you're doing. But if you're not posting on a regular basis, you are what we call invisible. Nobody knows you exist. So go to businessbros.biz/done for you. Sign up. Let's get your content squared away. Jonathan, thank you very much for coming on the show, man. You had so much information, so much value, dude. I'm telling you, that whole space always has that stigma of there's not a lot of money in there. But, dude, the way you explain it and the opportunities that you've provided, there's a ton of opportunity in the mobile home space. So thank you very much for coming on the show and sharing. Ladies and gents, just a quick reminder, you can follow Jonathan at Jonathan Tuttle on social media, and you guys can go to his website, MidwestParkCapital.com, mobilehomewealthacademy.com, or revenueascend.com. That's all we got for you guys today. Enjoy the rest of your SHIT. So happy it's Thursday, and we'll see you guys mañana on Friday. Peace. We're out.
Thank you for listening to the Business Bros Podcast. Are you looking to get more clients or to increase your income? Hernan, the business bro, can help you generate referrals through the power of podcasting. And James, the insurance bro with Pipeline Insurance, can help you effectively add insurance to your existing business. If you are ready to create wealth today and generational wealth for tomorrow, email businessbros@csfirst.com to schedule a free consultation or join the Business Bros Network, www.businessbros.biz.